All right, so we're in the second month of the year. I told you guys that my goal for the year was to go to 4 records a month. January, we decided that's not happening. 4 is hard. 6 is doable. So this month, I got 10. Um, Bad baby. I gotta do better than that. But I got reasons. They're not good, but I got reasons. But all right, let's get into it. Let's talk about what I got. So let's start with um, there was news that a band that I've liked for a long time, I already had one of their records that was a record store day exclusive, is getting back together. So for giggles, one day I was Googling, as you do, to see how difficult it was to find another album of theirs that I loved, and discovered not only is it really easy, it was recently repressed, like very recently repressed. There was a exclusive version at Barnes and Noble, which happens to be really close to where I work. So I went and I picked up Rilo Kiley's The More Adventurous. Rilo Kiley, More Adventurous. This is the Barnes & Noble exclusive. It's Rilo Kiley's 2000, well, let me see if I can read this now, 2004 masterpiece, 20th anniversary, limited edition, half and half, two-tone green vinyl. Now, first of all, recently, I have come to find that I like the color green more than I ever thought I did, and it's becoming one of my favorites. So that was nice. But we got this two-tone green vinyl. Kind of a richer forest green over here and more of like a minty green over here on this side. It's a 1 LP version of the album. I love this album. I used to have this and Under the Blacklight on CD. And so it was nice to get it back on vinyl and get to listen to it. It's a great album. Really recommend it. Next album I picked up, I was debating. I wanted to pick up an album as I was preparing to do my Black History Month spotlight. I wanted to pick up at least one album by a black artist in the month of February. At the time, I was thinking that I would probably get this artist's newest album, but I spent some time doing research, and I was like, if I'm going to own one album by this artist, which one should it be? And a lot of people had opinions, but this is the one that came out the winner, so this is the one I picked up, which is To Pimp a Butterfly by Kendrick Lamar. And one of the reasons I really wanted this album is because this album has All Right on it. I think it's called All Right, or We Gonna Be All Right, but very important song, obviously a song that became very important during the, now I'm not going to remember, the town in Missouri, sort of the race protests, against police brutality. So this is a double LP, black vinyl, 180 gram. It's a great album. I wanted to get to know Kendrick's music a little bit better, and I really do like what I hear. So now for me, I'm going to lean into like probably Childish Gambino more than Kendrick. That's more my taste, but I really enjoy this too. And the more hip hop I get to learn, the happier I am. And really my son's he's big into hip hop. And so I want to know hip hop better so that I can connect with my son better. So the next album that I picked up, I don't know what I would call, like why I would say I picked this up, but this is another album. It was getting pressed in the month of January when I was doing my research about what albums were coming out in January. I love this artist. I wasn't sure how many more albums I was going to get, so I listened to this album on streaming a lot first to make sure I really liked it, and I did. So I picked up Wilco's A Ghost Is Born repressing, just black vinyl. I love Wilco. I've got several of their albums now. This is probably either 4 or 5 that I've got of theirs. And I'm happy to continue to add their music to my collection. Definitely enjoy some Wilco. All right, next album that I picked up, and we're moving kind of fast here. This was a bit of an impulse buy. I was in Walmart, I was in Target. Target now has some records that are on the end cap of part of their store it's about a dozen records or so that are kind of like classic albums that you would probably enjoy having on vinyl. And this one was in there, and I've thought about this album a bunch of times, so I went for it, which is The Killer's Hot Fuss. Now, when this album came out, the song that I heard first was Somebody Told Me, and I thought that song was awesome. It's infectious, great hook, really fun to listen to. And then, later you get to know that the song Mr. Brightside on here is a classic. So definitely glad to have this. This is just on white vinyl, single LP. Not a lot to this. It's a Target exclusive 1 LP on bone, 20th anniversary limited edition. Yeah, good album. Glad to have it. So then I decided that I needed to pick up a couple of albums that were albums that I had been thinking knowing I wanted for a long time. 2 specific albums that I really loved to listen to often, didn't know how recently they'd been pressed, and I looked for them and they were pretty easy to find. So I got these from, and I want to go back and say, Rilo Kiley I got from Barnes & Noble, Kendrick I got from Target, Wilco I got from my favorite record store, St. Marie, The Killers I got from Target. This next one I also got from St. Marie, and that is the White Stripes Icky Thump. So I have the White Stripes Greatest Hits. There's a lot of great White Stripes albums. This album is the album that introduced me really to the White Stripes. We sold it at Starbucks. I bought it. I started listening to it, and I really enjoyed it. There's some great songs on here. Icky Thump, Conquest, Bone Broke, Little Cream Soda, Rag and Bone. Those are all fantastic albums. Now, this is a big case, so I don't have a sleeve that fits it yet. And these are 180 gram black vinyl. It's everything about this is snug. I got to get new sleeves all the way around for this. But for the moment, this I'm making do. Okay, so hold on one second. Let's see what else we got next. All right, continuing on. The next one I picked up, this one was actually because I wanted it. I looked. Again, probably a bit of an impulse buy, but it's an album I thought about a whole lot before I bought it. And then my daughter was on she wanted to watch Sister Act. Part of the reason she wanted to watch it is because she wanted to hear this. Oh, I remember what really inspired this. And I talked about this in my video about this. But the SNL 50th anniversary live concert, when she came out on stage and performed, I had to pick up The Misunderstanding of Lauryn Hill. This was another Target purchase. We go to 2 Targets most of the time. This was at the second Target we go to, a little bit less. I have literally picked up this album about 20 times and almost bought it, but I decided now was the time. A lot of great songs on this album. It's got Doo Wop, That Thing. It's got I Used to Love Him. It's got Everything is Everything. Superstars on just a lot of great songs. To Zion's a really great track. Some fantastic cameos, or not really cameos, collaborations on here. Really great album. Really glad to have it. Love getting some more 90s R&B in there too. So the next 2, my wife and I went on a date night, which we don't get very often. This was sort of our Valentine's Day date. And one of the things we did, we went to Half Price Books and we looked at records. I haven't been there in a long time. And it's gotten to where I don't really like records there as much because I've got St. Marie Records, and that's where I go record shopping. And I will say that this kind of proved in a way what I thought. We originally bought 2 albums. One of them was a Ben Harper album with Charles Muscle White, and it ended up being that the record was so scratched up, like as soon as I pulled it out, I was like, this isn't going to play. So I returned it. The other album I picked up was this soundtrack, Blinded by the Light. This is a fantastic movie, and it's got connections to some Bruce Springsteen music. It's the limited edition white vinyl 2 LP soundtrack, includes the brand new tracks I'll Stand By You by Bruce Springsteen and For You My Love by A.R. Rahman. So this has some fantastic kind of like Indian music, and then it also has a lot of great Bruce Springsteen and a few other things. So it's white vinyl. If you've never seen this movie, I really recommend that you see it. It's a very hopeful movie, a movie about finding yourself a little bit. But yeah, I really encourage you to watch this movie. Really good movie. So I had also seen this record the first time that we went there to Half Price Books, but I didn't buy it because it was a little bit expensive. And I wrestled with it because it's one of my favorite artists. It's an album I didn't have. I'm always looking for albums by this artist out in the open. So when we went back to return the other album, I picked this one up, and that is Ryan Adams' Prisoner. So this features Do You Love Me and To Be Without You. That's what it says right here. It includes a download card. This is single LP. Now I have the live version of this that came out recently, Prisoners. And there's also like a Prisoners B-side, but I had to pick up Prisoner to add to the collection. Now the next one, This is one I wrestled with over and over and over. It was supposed to be a Black Friday exclusive. Couldn't get it when it came out, missed it. And then it ended up being that there were copies that were still available, and now it's been repressed. And so I guess it's not an exclusive anymore. But this is an album that I really, really wanted. And so I decided I'm going to get this. And that album is Herbie Hancock Possibilities. Now, I talked about this in my Black History Month spotlight on Herbie Hancock. It's a fantastic collaborations album with a lot of amazing people. John Mayer, Santana and Angelique Kidjo, Christina Aguilera, Paul Simon, Annie Lennox, Sting, Johnny Lang and Joss Stone, Damien Rice and Lisa Hannigan, Raul Midon and Trey Anastasio. It's a triple LP, really fantastic album. Also, too big for my sleeves right now. I got to get some bigger sleeves. If you haven't picked this up, I highly recommend it. This is the black vinyl version. The Record Store Day exclusive was on red vinyl, but I don't care. I'm happy to have this. I love this album. And honestly, it's another album that I was exposed to when I worked at Starbucks. So is this last one. And this is another album that was one that I just wanted for a long time. And I finally decided it was time to get it. And this is the last album that I'm going to talk about this month. And that is Arcade Fire, Neon Bible. I love this album. I love their cover of My Body as a Cage. Or actually, it may be their song and it got covered. But I love My Body as a Cage. I love so many songs on this album. And I can't read it because, of course, my vision, terrible vision. But highly recommend this album. I love Arcade Fire. I've got several of their albums. I think I've got like 4 of their albums or whatever. But this was the one that I was most like, I've got to find this. I've got to have this as part of my record collection. It's just black vinyl, but I'm really glad to have it. So I did receive one more vinyl record that my mom bought for me as a surprise gift, which was such a blessing, but I haven't actually gotten it from her yet. So I'm going to talk about that one in my March record haul, even though technically it's a February record. And I will say real quick here at the end, March coming up, I've got 3 records that I'm hoping to pick up, which means, that leaves me a little room for things that come up that I'm interested in. I'm hoping to pick up the new Japanese Breakfast album. I'm hoping to pick up the new Lucy Dacus album. And I'm hoping to pick up the Selena Gomez and Benny Blanco album. All 3 I can get from St. Marie Records. They're all available for pre-order. So that's my goal.